What's up, guys? This is Casey coming at you with Prevail. This is 10-Minute Tuesdays. Full disclosure, this one's not going to be 10 minutes because I'm introducing the concept for this portion of our of this 10-Minute Tuesday thing that we're starting up. This portion, to start everything out, we're calling it Scar Sessions. And to get things going, I'm going to read you something that I wrote. The Word is a massive love letter from the Father to his children. The reason so many people withdraw themselves when it comes to reading the Word is because for them, it feels like they are reading someone else's love letters to one another, and that they're outsiders looking in, that they're somehow excluded. In the same way, many people withhold their worship because they don't value themselves, let alone their words, enough to think their worship something of significance to the one who created the universe with a few compressions of his vocal cords. Someone needs to hear that he carved value into you. He breathed value into you. Your Father didn't create you as a crockpot project that he just set in motion and forgot about, but he created you as his child, that he has been infatuated with from before you were in your mother's womb. He's not a judge waiting to smite you with his authority, but a father waiting to use his authority to place his own garments upon you, to feed you and remind you of your value. He does not leave you empty unless it's to refill you. The very same Father that breathed on you at the beginning of your existence is constantly looking for room to breathe on you again, to stir up the fire he created you with that consumes you without burning you up. Because of our feeling of inferiority, lies as they may be, we try to place God in a box and ourselves in a separate box. The issue with that is that it's really hard to breathe in a box. The thing about the box is that you may feel safe, but you're also trapped. He does not desire to meet you with anything other than kindness. That's who he is. His mercies are tender and will cover every possible imperfection your mind has been transfixed on since I've been speaking. If the same thing you've been comfortable with worked, you wouldn't be in constant search for affirmation and purpose. In fact, if it worked, I'd dare to say that your life wouldn't look anything like it does right now. Let him draw you out of your box. Let him show you who he is. Let him breathe on you. It's a decision to quite possibly change the way that you've always perceived or even been told him to be. I guarantee you he'll surprise you. There's a reason that the angels are constantly crying, holy, holy, holy. And that's because there's always more of him. You won't get bored of him if you begin to pursue really knowing him. And because he is a father captivated by watching his child grow, he won't get bored of you either. His attention span is boundless for you. He is who he says he is, and so much more. Because there aren't words enough that we could comprehend to accurately encompass all that he is. So my desire is that a generation of people would embrace the vulnerability that Adam experienced in the garden, where God walked with him just as he was, with everything Adam had on display. That was the state of being that God enjoyed Adam the best. That's why he created him that way. His desire is not that you desire to be naked, but that you desire for all that you are to be exposed to the one who healed each and every one of those scars that you have. He desires to see those scars because he knows a thing or two about what some scars can do. See, we were originally created to be comfortable without any clothing, to be comfortable with the vulnerability. You see, without the clothing, every single scar is on display, and as a result, the stories of what we've been through are also on display. There are people that need to see your scars. Doubting Thomas would have gone on doubting for the rest of his days if Jesus had come back without the scars of what he had been through, or even if he had chosen to cover them up. It's for the inquisitive nature of man that scars exist, to remind us of past pain and what God's brought us through, so that the next person that doesn't know how they're going to get through this season of their life that they understand that there's hope, because the same love, grace, kindness, and mercy he used to bring us out is readily available to deliver them as well. The veil tore after Jesus laid down his life so that there would be no barriers between us and his glory. So I believe it's time we take down the veils that we put up in our own lives, to let those in that are struggling and feel alone. We are not alone. Your scars could be a roadmap to show someone else the way back to the Father. So I, for one, will boast in the one who turned my wounds into scars. Because scars are simply wounds that have healed. I know we're just getting to know each other, and you've seen me sing a few songs, and that's great, but you really don't know me yet. Hi, my name is Casey Fox. I grew up in little old Lawrence, South Carolina. I'm 22, and I have a beautiful 2-year-old daughter. And for a lot of my time in school, growing up, from probably about middle school on, maybe even before, I was bullied a lot. Like, a lot, to be honest with you. Like, there was a lot of days that I went home and I didn't want to move. I just came home, didn't want to talk to nobody. I would just come home and just bawl. And it would break my mom's heart because she didn't know how to help me, because all she could do was provide arms and her love, and quite honestly, like, I didn't want it, let alone love from God, because after all, he was letting the things happen to me, right? On the daily, actually, I was being told things like, nobody likes you, you have no friends, you should kill yourself. But you see, it was in this time of reclusion, when I withdrew into myself, when I pushed everybody else out. It was then that God began to really plant seeds for my love of music that I have today. Because you see, with everything going on, with all the voices that were streaming in, I could put on a pair of earbuds and just forget about everything. Granted, I'll let you in on a little secret. Hadn't always been Chris Tomlin. Hadn't always been your favorite worship leader or anything closely related. But it was in those times that I wanted to push God away, that he made his presence known without me really even being aware of it, to be honest with you. He was there with me the entire time. He kept suicidal thoughts from reaching the point where I wouldn't be here today. Further into my story, started actually around the same time, honestly. If I want to be really real about it, it started around the same time. I began to settle for any type of affection, to be frank, and I settled for far inferior, and I developed an addiction to pornography. That addiction gripped my life from the time I was in middle school all the way through freshman year of college and the not so distant past. It's only within the last year or so, actually, that I've really begun to walk in freedom. And in that, when I was a sophomore in high school, I gave up part of me with someone that I don't even know anymore. And I'm thankful that I sit here today redeemed from that. But I want you to know that these are things that I've done and been through, because I want you to know that you're not alone. That you're not the only one who's done some stuff, who's messed up. And so, if there's any of you that are out there that are battling with anxiety, with depression, with suicidal thoughts or tendencies, if you're battling with pornography, if you're battling with a sex addiction, know that you won't find judgment on this end. You won't. And it's not because I can't. Because people often want to say that, like, oh, I've done some things, so that means that I can't form judgment. Because I know a lot of hypocritical people, and a lot of them I met in church. But here, for this man sitting right here in front of you, I'm willing to be an ear, to be an accountability partner, whatever you need. My line is always open for you. So I'm here to let you know that the same God that did those things for me hasn't stopped being that same God. And he's waiting for you to turn around and let him embrace you in order for him to finally address those parts of you that you've been trying to put on the back burner, to neglect, to really just pretend like they're not even there, like they're not issues, because nobody sees them but you. It's all love on this side. All love. I'm gonna close with this. What if the blood that Jesus shed was the moisture God needed to rework the clay? What if it was sufficient to fill that purpose? What if he's placed you somewhere that you don't fit because he's trying to change the mold to which your surroundings have previously conformed to fit around you for such a time as this, to make that place look more like him simply because you're willing to recognize your sonship or daughtership, I suppose? The way that Jesus won the victory for all of mankind was by totally abandoning his own will for the will of the Father. What if that's how you fight your battle? By completely surrendering. Your white flag means more than your sword. I'm talking about total abandonment. The way that Jesus won the victory for all of mankind was by taking on a posture that appeared as though he had been defeated. That's what it took for the enemy to let his guard down. What if that's the type of surrender that he is wanting from you? That it would create openings to take back even more territory and souls straight out of the strongholds that Satan had previously been so confident in. In biblical times, the worshipers were the ones that led the armies into battle. And the way that you could tell the battle was still going on was if the sound of the worshipers remained. What if your position as a leader of worship places the responsibility on you to remind his mighty men and women the mighty warriors, that there is still a reason to fight because the battle is not lost, to keep worshiping until victory comes. And you don't have to be a worship pastor to be a worship leader. Let me make that clear. Your kids watch you. Your friends and your family, those around you that you may not even know their name, they watch you. They see you. And it just might be your continued worship through whatever it is that you have going on, that everybody knows that you have going on, but your worship just doesn't match that. It matches the words of a father who is greater than those things. And it's a peace that surpasses all understanding, that when you come into the presence of God, all else fades away and you just surrender. That's how you become just as much a worship leader as anyone with a mic. Victory is coming. In fact, victory has already come, but everyone needs reminding of that every now and again for a renewal of their faith. What if the reason he won't let you figure out a formula for how to get the anointing to flow is because it's less to do with a formula, but has everything to do with the Father? He's not surprised by what's inside of you because he put it there. But he does delight in the fact that you desire to see all of what he's designed to be fully on display. The thing about his masterpieces, which are his children, is that they have the option of whether or not they will let themselves be on display for all the world to see the work of his hands or not. Every breath you take is a privilege. Every breath you take serves as notice that he's not done with you yet. He's the potter. And when you're ready to admit it, when we're ready to admit it, we are as soft as clay. Let's let him rework us.